I'm Brianna.
And I'm Elise. We're sisters. And this is Chit-Chat and Cheers.
Hello, and welcome back to Chit-Chat and Cheers. We are back here with episode 8. I have my lovely sister, Elise Poo, with me.
Isikomo.
Isikomo? What is that?
That's how I used to say my name, because it's Elise Nicole Moore. It's Isikomo.
Isikomo. You are giving your full government name on a...
It's true. Again,
podcast.
Only paying subscribers get the social security number.
Yes, when we set up our Patreon, that'll be the top tier. You can get our social security numbers for free. Well, not free, but you can be part of the elite club that knows our secret
John
identities.
calls me Nikki when he really wants to irritate me, because Nicole is not my favorite name that I have.
Do you remember the Christmas song I used to sing to you?
Elise Snotty Da? Yes.
Yes, instead of Feliz Navidad, it was Elise Snotty Da. It's a real original 7-year-old one of me.
I'm sure there were many fights that ensued after.
It's true.
Well, what are you drinking tonight, Brianna?
I have a beer tonight. I'm back on the alcohol now that I'm post strep throat. Although I have had a cold all week too, so I don't know. It's always one thing after another, as you know, with children. But no, this is Allagash White is the name of the beer. So it's a nice wheat beer. Delicious.
I am drinking Super Bowl leftovers. Currently, Bewitched Pinot Noir. Makes me feel like I need to go.
Yeah, she like twiggles her nose or whatever.
Yes. So it was on sale at the grocery store. It's not bad.
Nice. Yeah. How was your Super Bowl? This is being recorded the day after the Super Bowl.
Like only one team decided to show up. So
I know. I felt bad. Apparently Taylor Swift at one point got like booed hardcore by the stadium, because I guess it was mostly Eagles fans that were there.
Oh.
And there was like one point where she was like up on the Jumbotron and people the whole stadium was booing her. I'm like, that's mean. There's no need to do that.
She did invent football. Let's give her some credit. I was cheering for her team because the girls the whole time were singing Taylor Swift songs. But it was just, I don't know, it was just kind of sad. I think it was just too much pressure. A three-peat was just too much.
Yeah.
And the
I kind of wonder if they were
the Chiefs just didn't seem to play well. But good for the Eagles. I mean, Philadelphia is one of the oldest cities in the United States. So
look at you with all your facts.
Well, I didn't do any research for this podcast, so that's the extent of it.
Well, that's what you have me for. I do the research, you bring the comedy and
I bring the
sparkle razzle dazzle.
I got told by my boss today, we have this huge presentation Wednesday, and she said she said it to the room at large, but then she went like this when she was saying it to me about limiting your caffeine intake prior to the presentation so that you could speak slowly enough that people could understand you.
That's funny.
My mantra is no one likes an overcaffeinated, underutilized CNO. So
that's true.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's applicable for so many aspects of your life.
Yeah. But I'm always overcaffeinated. That's how I survive.
That's why I like that I drink tea versus coffee, because I think one cup of tea has like a third of the caffeine of a cup of coffee. Yeah. So it's, for me, it's just more about like having the beverage and like the warm something to drink. So I feel like I can drink a lot more of them.
I definitely I have tea. I have like green tea, and then I have some herbal teas in my office now, because very much I'm the same. Like I like the hot beverage and like the ritual of it. And then after so as we get older, genetically we metabolize caffeine slower. So that's why you'll see like older folks will make a pot of coffee and then they're like, oh, I'm up all night, I can't sleep. But it's because like they drink their coffee, but they metabolize it slower, so it doesn't kick in. And that's why they get jittery, because all of a sudden you've had 6 cups because you're not feeling it. And then all that caffeine starts to be metabolized. I'm definitely in that category. I'll be like, today I had one at lunchtime and I was like, I think I had one too many, because my hands are like,
I like these little like health nugget segments. Keep those coming. I didn't know that.
Eat your vegetables.
Eat your vegetables. Oh my gosh. I had a very interesting morning this morning though. So rewind a little bit. Last week was just a shit show in terms of trying to be a working mom and doing all the things. Like Nora was off school on Wednesday for parent teacher conferences, and then we had an ice storm on Thursday, and Friday I had to leave early. Like, it was just like I could not string together like 6 hours of work.
Real
It was
life,
just very
yeah.
frustrating. Yeah. And then, of course, like for some fire drills at work kept coming up. So it's like I couldn't actually get actual work done. Well, today, we've been battling a mold issue in our bathroom for
At the
like a
office or
year
the one at home, right?
at home. Yeah, in
Okay.
our master
Well, you
bathroom.
had the whole attic treated.
Yeah, we've had it. We've had it the remediation 3 times. So twice with the first company, and it came back. So we had another company come in. They remediated the actual ground floor, and then they actually went up into our attic and like sprayed and like remediated up there. And we thought it was fixed. Turns out it's not, because it's come back already, which is super fun for us considering we just spent like $4,000 to have
Did
the
they come
attic
back
and
out for
house.
free?
Well, I think yeah, they should, but the whole gist of the story is that I had set up this appointment with them, and he's like, "I'll be there at 9 o'clock on Monday. I can look at it." I'm like, "Okay, great." I've got a very important meeting at 11 that I have to be back in office for. But I talked to my boss, and I was like, "I am going to work from home in the morning. I'll come in right after." It's like 9:15, 9:20. I haven't seen the guy. I text him. 9:40. I finally call him. I'm like, "Hey, like, where are you? Like, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh yeah, kind of got stuck at the office. I could probably be there like a half hour." And I feel a little bit bad, but I lost it on this guy. Like, I don't get mad very often. I'm very fairly easygoing. I was mad. I was just, I like laid into him. I was like, I understand that things come up. You cannot, like, you need to communicate. Like, I could miss an important meeting because I'm waiting around for you. It's not acceptable. Da 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 da. I felt a little bit bad about it because I don't normally do that. But I was just like, just call, text, anything.
Yeah.
Like, if you say you're gonna be there at 9, and I don't get it because it's like, it seems like a lot of the like trade and like definitely contractors have that mentality of like, I'll show up when I show up kind of thing. Like, I remember my husband's parents were doing some work at their house, and the one contractor they were supposed to have come up, he didn't show up, and they called him. He was like, "Oh yeah, it ended up being a really nice day, so I decided to go fishing instead." He was like in the middle of the lake when they called him. Oh
Must
my
be
goodness.
nice. I want that life.
Yeah, right? I was like, if I didn't show up to a client meeting, I would be so fired. So it was just it was a frustrating week last week.
So
And it's
did he
continuing.
show up in time for you to do it, or are you gonna have to reschedule?
No, I had to reschedule, and I told him, I was like, I don't know when I'm gonna be able to do it. I'll have to call you. I'll have to text you, or call you till another time. So, our office is closed this coming Monday for President's Day. Is that what this
I
Monday
think
is?
that's what it is. I know the kids are out of school.
I always get MLK and President's Day mixed up. So it's closed this Monday. So I'm gonna see if he can come on Monday since I'm gonna be home with the kids anyway. So that is life.
The joys
How are
of
you?
real life. Oh,
Right?
fine. I don't know. I need like a week off just at home to get my life in order, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, the bills must be paid.
Sadly, but you have some exciting things coming up. You got a big vacation, and
Yes.
you're gonna come see me.
I think
Not,
so.
you're not coming
That'll
to
be
see
really
me.
fun.
You're coming to stay with us, but you're coming to do other things with your family.
Well,
But
I'd
I will
want to
also
spend the
be
evenings
here.
with you. It'll be fun. And if you guys want to do any of the stuff we decide to do, I think that would be a good time.
But when you come up to Chicago, as much as I don't want to intrude on family time, so as much as you are willing to have us tag along and go have fun and do things, we would love to do that. But I don't want to intrude.
No, I just
on...
need it to feel special for like the girl's birthday. We're trying to get away from doing birthday parties and more like taking a trip. And I was thinking like where would be an easy place to go? And I was like, well, I've been to Chicago. We could stay with Brianna some of the time. And like it's a big enough city that there's lots to do.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
tons.
I thought that would be fun. And we may even do like that children's museum that we went to with Sloan when she was real little.
They might be aged out of that, but there's
so?
the Children's Museum that's downtown. They probably honestly would have way more fun at like the Museum of Science and Industry,
Oh,
or the Field Museum. The Shed Aquarium's great. The Brookfield
the aquarium,
Zoo's
they would love
awesome.
that. I definitely want to do a canal tour. I think they would really think
Oh yeah,
being on the
the
boat
architecture
would be
tour.
really cool.
Yeah, for
But we're just
sure.
gonna do like a long weekend, celebrate their birthday, hang out with you guys, and then move on. So, but yes, we're doing Hawaii for spring break, and our really dear friends Kate and Max are just wonderful. She sent us like she's doing like a big workup for the Navy for her, so she won't be available in the evenings most days. But she's taking her whole weekend. They rented a glass bottom boat for us to go do stuff on, and then we're gonna do just like some water stuff one other day. And then we are going to do a luau at the hotel one day.
That'll be so fun.
Yeah. So, and it's a military hotel, so it's not crazy expensive. And we're staying there like Wednesday to Sunday, and then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we're staying at this little like beach cottage right on the water.
Ooh,
That has like, so it'd be fun. I think the
fancy.
kids will have a good time.
Oh my gosh, they're gonna have the best time. You guys are gonna have such great family fun.
And we have Nintendo Switches for the 8-hour plane ride.
There you go. Something just fell upstairs.
Hopefully, your husband's doing something and not your children.
It's probably Chris having to get up to go put Luke to bed for the 100th time.
Umpteenth.
Yes, he does not. He's a little night owl, that one. He likes to just hang out. He'll sneak down. We were in the kitchen the other day. We were making dinner, and we'd put them to bed maybe like a half hour ago. And all of a sudden, Chris comes like walking around. He's like, "Come here." And I kind of poke my head around the kitchen, and I can see, so our stairwell, it's open for the first like 4 or 5 steps, and then there's like a wall. And I can see he's taken his shark and a big shark stuffed animal, and he's like poked it over the railing and is like going, "Arr, arr," like over the railing, just playing. Chris comes up to him because he can't see us because over the railing, because it's like a wall, like a half wall. And Chris comes up to me, he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he just like squeaks and like runs back up the stairs. So that's his like, he loves trying to like sneak downstairs. Or if I have like a headphone on in like when I'm like doing dishes or whatever, he'll just come strolling around the corner and he'd be like, "Hey, what's going on?" It's like 9 o'clock at night. I'm like,
Why
"What are you
not
doing?
asleep?
Go to bed, you psycho."
I tell the girls all the time, I'm like, girls, it is my bedtime. Like, because I'm usually like, most nights I'm in bed by 9:30. So I'm like, I need you to be asleep so I can go to sleep. Mom keeps telling me, she's like, you need to get rid of the monitor so you don't worry about it. And I was like, no, because then it will escalate before I get in there and everyone will be screaming and crying. It'll take me 20 minutes to calm everybody down. But if I can catch it on the first slow, or then I'm good. I can catch it early.
I think with Nora, we pretty much, well, her monitor almost doesn't even work anymore. So it works for like an hour, and then it's dead, so we have to turn it off. But I think we could probably pretty much just get rid of hers.
She's
I might get
sleepwalking.
yeah. They both,
Poor thing. You're never going to sleep until they're 18. And then
It's
they'll be in
fine.
college, so you won't be sleeping anyway.
Luke did it the other night. He comes in at like 2 a.m. with his 2 big toy dinosaurs. They're like big, like this big. He's one in each hand. And he comes stomping around to my side of the bed. And I'm like, "What's wrong? What's going on, Luke?" And I'm kind of very like disoriented. Because I think I'd even taken some like cold medicine or something that night. And he just starts like chomping the dinosaurs at me again, like rawr, rawr, like attacking me. And he won't say anything. He just keeps doing that and then just turns around and walks away. I'm like, "All right, let's."
I hope you have a good baby gate at the top of the stairs.
We don't, actually. We've never had a baby gate at the top of the stairs. Just a danger house. We're just a danger house.
It's fine. You slept walk most of your childhood and you survived.
I know. I was a terror. I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast or not yet, but I used to, as a small child, would wake up in the middle of the night, come downstairs to my parents' room, very quietly slip into their bedroom. And I would go to my mom's side of the bed and I would just stand there. I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't touch her. I wouldn't say anything. I'd just stand there quietly looking at her, half asleep, until she kind of sensed I was there and like startled awake. And she would wake up to a zombie child with their eyes like half rolled back in their head, just like looking down at her. And she said it was the scariest thing. And I would do it all the time. I'm like, I am lucky I didn't get punched in the face.
The time I remember the most is when the power, it was like I was at a church thing and I came home and the power was out. And I remember the front door of the house was open. And I was like, oh no. And then I saw you come out with a bucket. We were bailing water to keep the basement from flooding. And I was the youth pastor was like, "What's going on? Are you safe to be here?" I was like, "I gotta go. The basement's gonna flood." And so I
It's
remember
the
running
bucket
in,
brigade.
and then that night, Dad finally got the generator that Gramps had up and running. And that night, I remember laying down there, and you just came down, woke Mom up, who was laying down there too, and you just said, "I don't know where you were, why you weren't sleeping with us, or maybe you had been, and you just stood up. I don't know." You said, "Mom, Aunt Melissa sent me." And you just turned around and went back to bed.
She sent me.
But I remember waking up and being like,
Yeah, no, we grew up we've had several childhood homes. We moved around a few times when we were growing up, but one of
In the
those
state of
times,
Indiana, like in the local, like
yeah,
Indianapolis
yeah,
area.
yeah, all within the Indianapolis metro area. But one of the houses that we lived in for a good chunk of our childhood was pretty far out in the country, and so if the electricity would go out or it was storming very hard, um, our electricity would get out, the sump pump in the basement would go out, and so we immediately, all four of us, my mom, my dad, Elise, and I, would go down to the basement. My dad would sit there and bail with like, I'm pretty sure like a plastic drinking cup is what he was
Yeah,
using.
it was like one of those, like, yeah.
Yeah, he would bail this hole in the basement. I don't know if you listener doesn't have a sump pump or a basement, so essentially a concrete slab, big hole where like water drains to. He would be bailing that out into a big like
Like
20
5 gallon
gallon
buckets that we all had.
5 gallon bucket or whatever, and then the three, mom and you and I, would take those buckets, carry them up the basement stairs, out the front door, and pitch them out into the lawn,
Yeah.
and do that for hours
Because the
until,
basement was finished.
because
Like,
the basement was
just this
finished.
one
And
room was concrete and icky, but
yep,
like the basement had carpet and a bathroom and couches. And so,
yep.
yeah.
And if the electricity was out and the sump pump wasn't working and pumping that water out of that area, I don't know the inner workings of why the water was in there, but I knew it was. It would flood the basement. So for hours until either it stopped raining enough that we could stop
Mhm.
or the electricity come back on, we would bail the
When
basement
they
out.
got that generator, like Gramps gave us that generator. And it was his from like
Yeah.
the Korean War. It was like, I think Dad still has it, but it's like a gasoline.
I know. Didn't he run that inside too?
Yes, like, but still, like, he hooked the sump pump up to it, and like the basement had windows, I guess. So it's,
Yeah.
like running your car in the garage.
That's fine.
We probably
It's good.
all.
It was good exercise. It was good
It
family
was great.
bonding
It
at
was
like,
really fun. Except that you were so
11
terrified
p.m.
of
at night.
storms. You'd sit down there with your radio, and you'd be like, "It's coming!" You were prepared
I
for
know. I would have
every.
one of those NOAA radios. I know. I would go comatose. I know, thankfully no longer have the sphere, and both my children seem to be okay with storms, but I had a major problem when I was
My
young with
kids'
them.
names. One time we had tornadoes, and John was making all three of us hang out in the little Harry Potter closet under the stairs, and he was like standing there watching. And every time like the sirens would go off, he'd like jump into the closet. But each had gotten like one of those like Thai stuffed animals with like the huge eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and Sloan named hers Treetop because trees were flying, and Blair named hers Rotation after a tornado. So
Nice.
we have
I feel
Treetop and
like you can't
Rotation.
live in where you live and be scared of tornadoes. Like
Although,
they're
you know
just
what?
such a common
Having lived all the
occurrence.
different places I lived, give me a good old fashioned tornado any day. I don't think I could handle earthquakes. That's too scary. And hurricanes, when I lived in like North Carolina and would get
Mm-hmm.
hurricanes, the buildup is so much worse than the actual event. Like I'd be like at Walmart and be like, oh, she has 6 times as much water as I have. I don't have enough water. Like, what is going to happen? And it's just so scary. And then it's like it lasts so long, and there's still the same aftermath. Give me a tornado any day. Like just run and hide and survive, and then move on.
Yeah, I guess if you put it that way, a tornado is kind of the right mix of, it's not sudden and you can't prepare for it at all, like an earthquake, right? There's no, you see it coming,
Yeah, my
but it's not
girlfriend
like the,
Alex is like from California, and she's like, "Give me an earthquake any day. You find a good doorway to hide out in, or a desk to get under, you're good." But
yeah, but it's not like as widespread in damage as like a hurricane would be. I've only been in a couple of earthquakes. Was in one when I was in college. There was one, but it was early in the morning, and I woke up and I had been drinking the night before, so I thought I just had the spins because
I
it was kind
remember
of like
that because
moving around.
I remember that it was the same time. Yeah, I was at
It
the
was my
hospital, or I remember feeling the building shake.
it was my junior year.
So my senior year, that makes sense because I was well within clinicals for nursing school.
No, I lied. It was my sophomore year. But yeah,
Yeah, so same thing. Like
same.
I just remember being at Ball Hospital and like standing and being like, because we had to be at clinical at like 7 o'clock in the morning. So
Yeah, they're kind of scary. And then there was a couple when I was in Japan, in college studying abroad. There was a couple that we had, but all the buildings there are just built different to withstand
mhm,
earthquakes. That it's like you feel it, but it's not as
scary.
scary as I guess they
Yeah.
are here.
What it is. Well, I know
Anyway.
this episode is supposed to be about Valentine's Day. So before we jump into your topic, tell me your best and boyfriends, husbands, whatever, your best and your worst Valentine's.
Yeah, so this episode is about Valentine's Day and the history of
Friends, we
Valentine's
hurt
Day.
you.
We heart you. Look at that. There you go. Did you know that the kids nowadays do their hearts like this? It's like, it's so difficult to get into that position. Why would they choose that? Like, this is where it started, right? And then it went to this, which is what we do, which I think is the easiest. And they do this weird ass diamond shaped heart thing. You can even, it's like you're making a gang sign. Here you go. Best and worst Valentine's Days. Gosh, I don't know. I'm on it. Like, I'm very agnostic on Valentine's Day. I don't hate it. Like, some people have like a really big hatred for it, and it's like, you know, a greeting card holiday, and it's just to make money and da 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 da. You should always show love. I'm like, well, I think it's fine to have a day to celebrate that and be intentional about saying that you love people and that you care about them. But I'm not like go all out. Chris and I don't exchange gifts. And if we do like a special dinner, we usually do it either like the day or before or after, and we order out. We don't hardly ever eat at restaurants. One, because of the kids, and two, it's just a little bit cheaper to order out. And we just like to be in our jammies when we eat dinner. But I can't try to think if there was ever a really good one or a really bad one.
I have one of each, so I'm just waiting for
Well, why don't you go? Because that's going to be way more interesting than what I have to say.
Best Valentine's Day ever. Well, best close to Valentine's Day was John proposed to me on February 9th, and he made himself promise he wouldn't do it on Valentine's Day because that was too cheesy. So that's close to Valentine's Day.
That's
but
a good Valentine's
actual
Day.
Valentine's Day, you won't believe this, is when I was deployed in Afghanistan.
Really?
Yes, because my friend Brandy, who was deployed with me, hated Valentine's Day. Like, she loathed it, wanted nothing to do with it. And I was like, this is my mission, is to make her like Valentine's Day. So I took her on a date. I went and bought her a muffin at the
you were
Galentine's
before Galentine's was like a thing.
Yes. And so I remember I spent the whole day, like not the whole day, but like we like went on like an actual date. Like we went and ate dinner together, and I bought her I made her a card, and I like got her everything.
Aw, you're
she probably was
cute.
like, I don't hate it quite as much now. Thanks.
Success.
She's the one who we're going to see her when we're in Hawaii. She and her husband and kids they're stationed there right now. So we're going to get to see them
nice.
for a little
What's her
bit.
name?
Most of our time is going to be spent with our good friends, Kate and Max. But when I found out she was stationed there, I was like, I'm coming. Let's do something.
I'm sorry, what was her name?
Brandy.
What was your friend's name? Brandy. Shout out Brandy.
Yeah, Brandy. And then the worst Valentine's Day ever was in college when I was dating Derek. And he told me we had plans. Like, John and I don't do gifts. We don't, we might go to dinner. His aunt and uncle are very gracious and offer to watch the girls usually. And so sometimes we'll go do something, but it's not really a big deal for us.
Yeah.
But I remember in college, Derek was like, oh, I got us reservations. And I was like,
Ooh.
oh.
Was it at the Olive Garden?
And it gets to be like 9:30, and he's just like laying on my bed studying. And I was like, when are these reservations? He was like, oh, well, it's more of like an idea than reservations. He took me to it was called like the Sunshine Cafe. It was like the equivalent of a Waffle House. I was very disappointed.
At 9:30 at night?
Yes. I was just like, this is stupid.
I have reservations at the diner, the Greasy Spoon.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Question for you. I thought you were drinking champagne. That doesn't look like champagne.
No, it's leftover wine.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's about gone. I'm gonna have to go get something else here in a minute. It is like slim pickings here because we had been doing dry January, and so we bought a couple of things for the Super Bowl. And I'm like, let's see what I can find. That's fine.
I totally outed you in our episode description for the one that just went live today.
Remind me what it was.
Oh, in the episode that we just recorded?
No, the title.
Oh, no, the title wasn't it. The title was, are you something about my... I don't even remember what the title was. No,
I thought I was drinking non-alcoholic champagne, and I started to feel buzzed and realized it wasn't. I was like, this is not the normal stuff. So what happens when you change brands?
I was like, dry January's best efforts, right?
It was a mental dry January, and it only lasted like 8 days, but it's fine.
You know what? It's called self-care.
John actually, I told him I was going to say this on the podcast, so you can tell him I said it. But he was like, "Yeah, we said we were going to do 30 days no drinking, and that didn't last her long, did it?" And I was like, "That was a little bit of a personal attack, sir." And he was like, "Why is it personal?" And I was like, "Because I feel attacked."
I love how much of a hype guy John is, because like, so today on Monday we published our latest episode.
There's
And
no we about it. You did it. Let's be clear.
no, it's a we. It's a we. And probably like 20 minutes after it went live, John was texting me a picture. He was like, I just got the push notification. So he's
It
one of our
cracks me
biggest
up that he
fans.
actually listens to it. Like I would,
I love it.
he's a huge podcast guy, and I would think that he'd find it really boring. But he does. He's like, he'll listen to it. He'll remember stuff that I don't even remember saying, and he'll be like, this, and I'm like,
That was a really,
yeah.
really terrible impression of John. I'm not going to lie to you.
He gets mad at me. He says, "You always make me sound like a Neanderthal when you imitate me."
I mean, that was giving very much like Tim the Toolman Taylor just now. All right. So we have your best and worst Valentine. So how do you guys celebrate now before we jump into the history? And then I have some fun facts. For you.
We have a very dear friend who this year at least, who, long story short, he battled cancer couple of decades ago, I think. And the medicine they gave him to treat that cancer has now caused another one.
Oh no.
And so
That
we
can
were
happen?
supposed to spend our anniversary with this couple. And I don't know if you remember the babysitting fiasco, but one babysitter canceled and then the other one didn't show up. And basically I sat at the top of the stairs and sobbed. And John was just like, "You can go by yourself." It's like, I'm not doing that.
This is what we call a breakdown.
Couple. But anyway, so we reached out to them, and he's going through chemo and radiation and all the like immunological therapies. I don't know exactly what all he's doing, but
Sure.
we offered to pick up takeout and come spend either Valentine's Day or the Saturday after with them. So unless he's just really not feeling good that day, which obviously is his prerogative, we're going to do that. But normally we just go to dinner. His aunt and uncle will, most of the time what ends up happening is his aunt and uncle come over and we put the kids to bed, and then he and I will go out for a late dinner, and they'll just hang out here with the dog and do whatever. But this year it might be a little different, so we'll see.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully he's feeling okay.
Yeah, they're an amazing family. She runs a nonprofit that helps caregivers for cancer survivors, and not to overshare, but she would totally share this as her personal story. She's had cancer. Her husband has had cancer. They lost their daughter to cancer.
Oh my gosh.
Now he has cancer again. So they're just obviously, so much has affected this family, and they're wonderful people, but she still manages to run this nonprofit that's super positive, and they're just the most positive, forward-thinking people. And so we're really excited to hopefully spend some time with them if it works out.
Nice. What's the name of the nonprofit?
It's called Cancer Care Services, and it's here in the Fort Worth area, and they are just a great organization. And as a leader, she's actually been nominated as like one of the best organizations to work for a couple of years in a row. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. We'll leave a link to the website and stuff down below if anyone is interested to check it out or donate. Obviously, it's always a good cause. Well, there's not a great transition away from that, so I'm just going to go ahead and dive in.
But Valentine's Day is lots of fun, and we love each other, and that's why we're going to go see them. So let's talk about love.
Love. Yeah. So similar to you, Chris and I don't really celebrate specifically. So nothing too crazy. We do Valentine's for the kids, so the kids will get like gifts and stuff. And this weekend we decorated.
Does a good job of sending like a package.
Yeah, that's true. Our mom, grandma, sends you and I packages still, and they send stuff for you and I and the kids and stuff. So
I'm just saying, my tea towel collection is always updated.
I know. She sends, that's like our mom's saying is she sends tea towels or like little like bath hand towels that are like very like holiday themed. So we have quite the collection, which
Halloween
is really nice.
Ones and Christmas ones and all the things.
Easter and all the things. It's nice. I love getting new towels. But yeah, we did Nora's. We made a big mailbox for her class party for her little Valentine's.
Fun.
There. All right. Valentine's Day. The history
Can we take a time out so I can get a new drink?
Yes. Let's take a pause. We'll be back in 5 minutes with a new drink. Huzzah!
Huzzah! And this is the only clean cup I could find.
I like that coffee mug.
These are from when John and I were dating. I love them.
Yeah, that when I came to visit you, I think that's the one I took every day. I stole that one every day.
I'm really sad. My favorite coffee mug that I drink tea out of has a big old chip in it now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Valentine's Day.
We're back.
After an hour of chit chat.
No, it wasn't an hour. It was, it was a very important discussion around mugs and liquor. Liquor, I hardly know her. So Valentine's Day. You're very squeaky. Are you okay?
That's funny. I haven't heard that.
I can't claim that one. I don't know where. That's a common joke. I don't claim that as my own. All right. So I have an article from history.com, which is like the History Channel website, the history of Valentine's Day. So this is going to be a little bit of information on what is Valentine's Day, where does it come from, why do we celebrate it, etc., etc. And you will notice a theme with most holidays. What did you just kiss your microphone for?
It's
Just a little
Valentine's
kiss.
Day. We're supposed to be romantic.
Just a little kiss for Valentine's Day. So a lot of these holidays, they fall on what traditionally was a pagan holiday, and then when Christianity came in and was like, no, we're not doing that anymore. Get out of here. They changed a lot of the pagan holidays into Christian-based holidays to make the transition easier. So I'm not going to take a side or a stance on right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just how it was, and we're going to go forward from there. So the origins. So Saint Valentine's Day is centered around Saint Valentine. And so in history, it's not 100% clear who Saint Valentine was.
I'm sure he was very good looking and probably Italian.
Excuse me, my throat is a little dry, so I apologize if I'm coughing a lot.
More beer.
More beer. So there's 3 likely candidates for who Saint Valentine was. And the most likely and kind of the most agreed upon of who they are referring to was a 3rd century Roman priest. So he served during Emperor Claudius II's reign. And this sounds way more impressive. I literally am reading off of a summary of the article.
As one does, we served during Emperor Claudius's reign.
Yeah, exactly. And so during that time, Emperor Claudius decided that single men were better soldiers. So they didn't have a wife and kids at home to worry about, coming home to, protecting. I have to keep myself safe for my family at home. These were made better soldiers. And so he implemented a rule that says if you're of military age, so a young man, you can't marry, which I'm sure went over so well with the general population. But this Saint Valentine was a priest who decided to ignore that and continued to perform marriages in defiance of the law. Protected young couples' right to marry. He was discovered and martyred and killed. So
well, they
that's
say
kind of
martyred instead of murdered because both those things are true.
That's true. He was martyred and murdered. That's the episode title: Martyred and Murdered.
I think so.
So he's so kind of associated with love and relationships. He's likely the most likely candidate for Saint Valentine that is based off of Valentine's Day. But there's also a couple of alternatives. One is the Bishop of Terni, I believe. Terni. Also during the
and use it in a sentence.
Bishop of Terni, Terni. He was martyred and murdered.
Martyred and murdered, as they
martyred
are.
and murdered. So kind of similar thing. There was one other one, but I don't see it here. So we're just going to go with those 2. But likely it's that first one that I went through.
Which one had better outfits? That's the real question.
I think they probably had about the same robes.
I need like
flowy
an Elton
robes.
John figure here. If you're going to be a martyr and murdered, I really need some like feathers and sequins. Anyway, moving on. Sorry.
Anyway, moving on. There's also a story about one of these Saint Valentines, that was at one point imprisoned and jailed, and they fell in love with the jailer's daughter, and she visited him during confinement, and he wrote her letters when he was in jail, and he got sort of love letters, and he would sign them from your Valentine. So that's kind of the myth or legend of where like Be My Valentine comes from, is because he would sign them Your Valentine. So that's who Saint Valentine was. So now let's talk about what I kind of referred to earlier about how the pagan holidays into Christian holidays. So pre-Christian origins of Valentine's Day, and I'm going to butcher this, so apologies, but Lupercalia Festival, perhaps is how it's pronounced, perhaps not. Sure, why not? It's our podcast. We say what we want.
That's right.
So it is an ancient Roman fertility festival, and it's celebrated in the Ides of March, so around March 15th. So obviously pretty similar to where for Valentine's Day lands now.
The Ides.
And it marks the end of winter and beginning of spring, and sort of the purification of the old into the new, fertility, growth, etc., etc. So kind of like a spring holiday.
Why does so much of nature revolve around fertility?
Procreate to keep going.
I'm going to come up with some sort of catchphrase by the end of this for that, but keep going. Okay.
Celebrate the procreate. So
Procreate so you can recreate. Hey, that's probably not good. That's fine.
So this festival was dedicated to the Roman god of agriculture, Faunus, I believe his name is pronounced, and it also honored Romulus and Remus, who founded Rome. I don't know if you are familiar with your Greek mythology, but they were two babies that were abandoned and I think raised by like a kind of a wolf situation.
It's how one
they
is
found
usually raised when abandoned, is by wolves.
I mean, it's giving Jungle Book. It's giving Mowgli.
I mean, if I didn't get it in Hercules, the Disney film, I probably don't know it. So I do have a Tony. If God love you, John, you're doing great things. You're amazing. But if you could get the Tonys to reconnect to the internet, that'd be great. Apparently, this is a problem people have because we no longer have a 2.4 gigahertz line. But that's besides the point. We do have a Greek mythology Tony.
I don't know what any of that means, but if you don't want your Tonys, send them my way because my kids are obsessed with Tonys. So anyway, back to what we were talking about here.
Romulus and Remus, the abandoned
Romulus
twins
and
raised
Remus.
by wolves.
Yeah, so this festival is dedicated to them, and it's also dedicated to the god of agriculture. So what they would do is they would go up to this sacred cave where presumably Romulus and Remus were left and raised by this wolf. And it kind of is like the focal point of the ceremony. So they would have a goat sacrifice to symbolize fertility. Then they would sacrifice a, close your ears, doggy for purification. I know, sad. I know, sad. So they would sacrifice those two animals, and then they would take strips of the goat's hide. They would dip it in the sacrificial blood, and then they would take that, and they would go around and whip it around women and the crops in the field. So they would, the term this article used is they would gently strike women. I'm like, would they? Or would they like whip them with this blood-soaked hide?
Sounds like my idea of a great Tuesday night.
Right? So, no, I know. Could you imagine just being like walking down the street and all of a sudden there's just like,
John, we talked about this. This is not appropriate behavior.
What? So yeah, so they would whip this blood-soaked hide at women and the crops in the field. And apparently the women would welcome it as the blessing for fertility. And then all the women in the town would put their names into a large like pot, and all the eligible men would come out and pick a name, and then they would be like paired together.
Picking a name out of a hat. That's literally what this is.
It feels very much like a key party.
Yes.
Situation.
Here.
Rome, like ancient Rome was wild. Like it was raunchy is what I have come to understand. But the article very breezes over it. It's just like, oh, they would be paired up for a year and many times marriage would result. I'm like, they were doing something other than just get married. What? So yeah, so they would get, have a Hunger Games style, may the odds ever be in your favor, and be paired up with somebody. So the church said, we're going to change that a little bit. And so they started to gradually go away from that and kind of go more towards the St. Valentine's celebration of love versus like the hedonistic pagan ritual that it was.
Mating rituals where you get somebody's name out of a hat and you have sex for a year and pray that some sort of baby results, and then if that happens, you get married. Yeah, I can't imagine why we decided that wasn't a great idea.
Hey, worked for them, I guess. So that
Way to
practice,
ensure genetic diversity, I guess, if you're pulling names out of a hat.
there you go. So that practice was outlawed at the end of the 5th century. And then February 14th was officially declared St. Valentine's Day. So just a couple more things. You know, it started to shift more and more towards the holiday we have now throughout the medieval period, and then really kind of took off in sort of the like Victorian era. But we had first documented Valentine emerged like in the 1400s, and then there was a couple instances of like kings commissioning Valentine's Day poems, and you know, I read a little bit that William Shakespeare and some of his plays really popularized like Valentines and like love letters and that type of thing. So really like the sort of more modern, how we kind of think about Valentine's Day really evolved kind of more towards the Victorian area and later, where they were sending cards to each other, and there were, you know, specific traditions around the Valentine's Day. So yeah, that's like kind of the background of Valentine's Day.
Oh.
But in today's modern day, I didn't realize that Valentine's wasn't like a widely celebrated holiday, like globally. Like I just assumed it, like maybe it wasn't like, didn't have like the religious connotations. And I don't even think Valentine's Day really has that many religious connotations here. Like in the Catholic Church, it does a little bit, but like before we were Catholic, I don't think it did.
Can I ask you something? When did it become
Yeah.
popular?
When?
Yeah.
Like what do you mean?
So I just Googled when the Hallmark Corporation was founded. I just want to know if Valentine's Day becoming popular coincides.
1 second. I have another article as well. This one's from Good Housekeeping. That's kind of like fun facts about Valentine's Day. And you had asked when it was popularized. And so according to this, 1840s is when the first mass-produced Valentines occurred.
So the Hallmark Corporation was founded in 1910. Wait. Well, it says, yeah, founding in 1910. So shortly, not too terribly long after.
Yes. They definitely took the ball and ran with it, as they
And I
say.
would just say that the founder of Hallmark, his name was apparently Joyce
Joyce?
Clyde Hall.
Joyce Clyde. That's an odd pairing. Not all the countries of the world celebrate Valentine's Day.
Really?
So according to this
countries?
According to the history article, major observances are United States, Canada, Mexico, United Kingdom, France, and Australia. So I guess those are like the major ones, but I think they do. It's just not as like a big of deal, because I know in Japan they celebrate Valentine's Day, but it's not like what it is here. So on Valentine's Day, the tradition, if I'm remembering correctly, is women, but mostly like girls, give chocolates to the boy that they like, and it's like a sign of like, hey, I like you. And I guess depending on how, like, the quality of chocolate, and if it's like homemade or if it's store-bought, is like indicative of like how strong their feelings are for this person. And then
But
like a month
12, they feel strongly about everything.
That's true. And then like a month later, it's what's the day called? Like White's Day, I think. It's like the boy's chance to reciprocate. So if you receive chocolates back from that boy on that day, that's like, we both like each other. Like, it feels very much like, do you like me? Check yes, no, maybe.
Yes. But even that can be passed between 4th and 5th period. So, like, I don't understand this holdup. I have some notes.
Oh, give me your notes. I didn't know you had notes.
Well, I just Googled them. So.
Oh, I love that.
I just want to say, while Valentine's Day traditionally is a very happy day, it also has a very dark past.
Oh.
Bum, bum, bum. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1929 in your hometown, well, not hometown, but your current city of Chicago, Bree, was the murder of 7 members and associates of Chicago's North Side Gang on St. Valentine's Day. They were gathered at Lincoln Park, Chicago in the morning, and they were lined up against a wall and shot by 4 unknown assailants, 2 of
Oh
whom were
my.
disguised as police officers.
Oh my.
It's very scary, especially given the recent events in like New Orleans with like the car driving through the crowds. It is
Yeah.
scary to think about that stuff, and that was a St. Valentine's Day thing in 1929.
Thing. They were not feeling the love that day. What a fun fact that this article did have. Esther
Back to fun facts.
Back to fun facts.
In my
Esther
mind, I'm
Howland.
having a mannequin moment where she remembers she like does like the fashion show. She's dressed up as a gangster right now, so it's fine. St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
That's where your brain goes to. Esther Howland. So remember how I said the 1840s was when greeting cards became popular? It's because of this lady. So she introduced mass-produced cards, and she created elaborate designs using premium materials, and is nicknamed the Mother of Valentine. Mother of the Valentine. 145 million cards are sent annually. It's second only to Christmas card sales.
I wonder if that includes the boxed children's sets, though, because we sat here for 40 minutes today and wrote to a friend, love Sloan and love Blair.
We need to do that still. I have to do that, and I have to get cookies for Luke's party. Let's a few other fun facts. This was back to the Good Housekeeping article. Nearly 250 million roses are grown in preparation for Valentine's Day every year.
It always makes me sad as roses. I feel like when you buy them at the store, remember Dad had all that rose garden growing up.
Mhm.
He had 2 whole flower beds. And he babied those roses. They smelled so nice, but like
They
roses
did. He
you
did
buy
a
at
good
the
job.
store don't smell nice.
They don't. I remember he would take pictures of them. Remember we would have photo albums just filled with pictures of roses.
And at the first day of school, he would clip some and like we'd wrap it in like paper towels with water and then saran wrap, and we would take like actual roses to our teachers.
I do remember that. Yep.
He always told me, he's like, buy the roses from Canada. They're more hardy.
Really?
So he would tell me.
Oh.
So.
Let's see here. Other fun facts. Candy is the most popular gift to give. No surprise, but Americans spend up to or more than 5.5 billion on jewelry and 4.4 billion on a special evening out for Valentine's Day. The first heart-shaped box of chocolates was introduced in 1861. And conversation hearts got their start as medical lozenges.
They still taste that way.
They do. Did you know that in was it 2019? There was 1 year where you couldn't get them. Dude.
John, we realized we have to turn in their they have to take them to school tomorrow so that they're ready for their party on Wednesday. And so I was like, John,
why are they having the party on Wednesday?
I texted him a bad word. And I was like, we have to get Valentine's tonight. And so he went to the store after he dropped the kids off. And I was feeding them dinner, and he sent me pictures of what was left at the grocery store.
I was gonna say, you waited way too long. I got my Valentine's cards for the kids like 2 weeks ago.
I mean, I thought about it. I just never did it. I was like, oh, I should take the girls to do that. And then, but they didn't get actual like cards. Blair bought like Jolly Rancher suckers that you write your name on, and some got Skittles. So it'll be fine.
That's better than the cards. 2019. So in 2019, they didn't sell them for a year because the company that originally made them went out of business.
You're trying so hard to keep us on track.
The company that took over couldn't get them out of time. So 2019, there was no hearts. And I vaguely remember that because I remember going to the store in 2019 for whatever reason looking for them. And I remember not being able to find them. I was like, do they not make these anymore?
I mean, they're fun to read, but they taste terrible.
They really do. They taste like chalk
on your tongue.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's like an antacid.
Yes. Oh, Tums, you can pay us for this, but you can now broadcast and market your antacids as hearts with positive sayings on them. Don't worry, This will get better. That burn won't last forever. Just take 2.
Are these your marketing ideas for what you can
put
print
on
on
the
them?
Tums?
Don't worry, that burn won't last forever. That sounds like a personal problem.
I'm just saying, if you put this can you imagine if the actual Tums tablets had sweetheart messages on them? How much more
That
fun
actually would be kind
be?
of funny.
We are definitely going to take this to some sort of person who can make us money when Tums does this. We had the idea first.
They get that good Tums
Patent.
money.
That's what it's called, a patent.
A patent. All right, I'm going to leave you with this fun fact. This is the last one I have. There are 4 states that have a city named Valentine. Arizona, Nebraska, Texas, and Virginia. So I think that you and old Johnny Boy should go to Valentine, Texas sometime.
I mean, we've lived in 2 of those states.
Oh, and you can also, in Virginia and Texas, you can get a special holiday postmarks at the post office. How cute is that?
I told you about my issue with stamps at Christmas. When I went and got them out of the machine, it didn't actually, it just spit out the stickers. It didn't actually put the postage on them. Ugh, I was there for like an hour trying to get that fixed. Ridiculous. The post office is not high on my places to go.
Did you know you can get stamps from Costco?
If I had a Costco membership, that would be helpful.
Oh, I think you did. You don't?
We used to. We don't have one now. We need to get one. Like, golly, I feel like I'm at the grocery store literally every single day.
Oh, I for sure am.
So, I had avocados. I was like, I bet these are past ripe, and I cut into them, and they like dust came out when I opened them, and I was like, yep, can't use those. No,
those are gross.
So I had to go buy more, but we did taco night tonight, and I did I put lettuce and cheese and sour cream, all the things out in little bowls, and the kids just go nuts. It's great.
I wish my children ate anything other than just chicken nuggets.
I mean, we do a lot of chicken nuggets, occasional hot dog. If we're feeling real spicy, we'll do a corn dog, but you have to physically peel it for Blair, otherwise she won't eat it. So
Luke subsists on peanut butter toast and nuggets, and he'll eat pizza now, so he eats pizza. He'll go, I'm a pizza dude, when he wants pizza. And Nora eats basically air, except she loves any type of pulled meat. So like pulled pork, like a brisket. Like she likes barbecue. She loves ribs. And she likes steak. So she eats nothing except for like steak and like meat. All right. Well, that's all I have on Valentine's Day. Do you have anything else for our Valentine's
I feel like
episode?
I tried to take a dark turn with our St. Valentine's Day massacre, but you pulled us back into the pocket.
I wouldn't let you.
So.
I wouldn't let you. I said, nope.
No, I don't
We
think
can do,
so.
if we want, we can do like a true crime episode. You gotta, that's like my forte. You just gotta give me some time to prepare.
And we also have to research it, and I have to do more than show up.
Hey, you look good. You look good, kid.
I'm wearing a robe and my Graciously Furious t-shirt.
I like that t-shirt.
Sarah McLean, my favorite authoress. John says, why do you call her an authoress instead of an author? And I said, because she earned that femininity.
Oh, I've never heard that before. An authoress?
I am probably making it up. I don't think that's actually a thing, but I call her an authoress. Like, why do you... I don't know. Just it feels right to me. And she may write me a letter and say, please don't ever say that again. But that's fine.
It's fine. All right. We'll wrap it up. So, thanks guys so much for being here tonight. It was tonight, whenever you're listening. It was great getting to hang out with you. We are on social media at chitchatcheerspodcast. So we are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. I almost said Facebook. We're not on Facebook. Don't go to Facebook. And then we're also on YouTube. So if you would rather watch us than these crazy shenanigans, you can see Elisa's robe in person.
Don't do that.
You could also
miss nothing.
You could also watch this instead of listen on YouTube. Again at Chit-Chat Cheers Podcast. So come hang out. Let us know. Leave a comment, rate, review, and subscribe this podcast wherever you're listening to. It really helps us out. And it's really fun getting to see who is listening to a podcast, like what areas and stuff. So hopefully we have US, we have Finland, and we've got
special
Nigeria.
Shout out to our Norwegian and Finland customers, whoop, whoop, or subscribers, whatever you call you. Yay.
Thanks so much for hanging out, guys. Again, follow us on social media, and we will see you again in a couple weeks.
Bye.
Bye, guys.